I did work for UBS, and I did work for Credit Suisse First Boston at a time, and I never imagined, nobody would ever imagine that these firms were not going to be perpetual. So it tells you something about the structure of our world that when you invest in something, never assume that a AAA is a AAA. Think about the past. Even negative cash flow businesses were selling you future cash flow. They were selling you, saying, okay, we're going to lose money, and then later on we'll make money. Today, right before this crisis, what were they selling you? They're selling you, yeah, we're going to get someone to fund us. So they're selling you funding. It resembles a Ponzi, okay? Mm-hmm. That's what happens in finance. Or like everybody knows you're bust except you. So there are two sectors you have to worry about: real estate and that pseudo technology, all right? All this, non-sound technology that absorbs so much money. I don't know which is going to be the first shoe to drop, big time. The problem is that, and again, that's a culture that a lot of people partook in the creation of such culture, not just brokerage houses, the entire industry, that you must make money out of your money, rather than you must preserve your money, you see? And that drove people to invest and think that they don't need to save a lot of money because their investment will take care of itself. And now we're facing a hard reality with pensions severely underfunded, with Social Security. Let's not talk about it, but you understand what I mean. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have, and the stock market will be unable to deliver the promises that they have on paper. So we are in an environment where people try to make money out of their business and preserve that for retirement, rather than try to make money out of the retirement business, and their day job is some kind of, a footnote in their life. People don't realize that with interest rates up here, that you not only you have higher requirements of what you need to earn from the market, but at the same time, the market got to adjust to that new discount rate. Mm-hmm. So they're hit on both sides. The whole notion of prudence. I mean, we're in the business of prudence. Mark, myself, and you keep fighting the winners, because usually the winners are the foolish risk takers, and then they disappear and nobody hears about them, and then new winners come in. But we keep fighting for prudence. But at an individual level, someone got to teach people that if you're a butcher, focus on making money selling meat, okay? Don't try to make money from, if you're a dentist, dentists are a problem because they all want to make money with gold, speculating with gold. Anyway, so if you're a dentist, focus on make money drilling teeth and preserve. Right. Focus on preservation, not making your money work or stuff like that. So we need to change the general culture. The central banks mess things up because of a lack of understanding of how reactive the world is. They didn't see inflation coming. See, they didn't see inflation come very fast. It came very fast. And they probably don't see the effect they can't see the effect of their policies in the future, which calls for the following. They should not be changing interest rates in the future, if you have a crisis, as fast as they did in 2008. Because bringing interest rates from 6%, say, to 1, there's no evidence it's better than from 6 to 3. So what does it tell us? It tells us that we're going to have to live in the future the way our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents lived, which is a world where interest rates are not zero, okay? Say social level, and the monetary policy should be modulating slowly, not abruptly, and more centrally, we should understand one thing. It's not the job of the Federal Reserve to fix the economy. The Federal Reserve, because what they did is they used a monetary approach to structural problems. Lowering interest rate to 0 to face an environment that has too much debt did nothing to improve the situation except cosmetically. What I think I told you, it was a Novocaine policy. I told you that in 2008. I told you what they did is Novocaine, 2008. Now the Novocaine is gone. You may pay the price. So in the future, we know that we're going to have higher interest rates, whether there's deflation, inflation, something. We're not going to have these swings in interest rates that we're witnessing now.
Are we becoming more like Europe? Is the American full charge, full steam ahead, American exceptionalism there, so that with this reversion to a normal rate environment, all of a sudden?
I think that, I don't know, Europe we're going to become a lot more like America in the past. You see, like the normal environment does not command these swings in interest rates, bringing them down to zero, and then because now they may have to raise them much higher than 5%. I have no idea about technical what can happen. I'm not into Fed watching, but I know that they may have to raise because they're committed to killing inflation and this notion, oh yeah, we're going to raise rates and it'll be okay. It's not as simplistic. How much do you have to raise and how high, how long you're going to keep interest rates high? In my opinion, interest rates at 5%. At 5% that's not high. Okay, that's normal historically. Think about the past. Even negative cash flow businesses were selling you future cash flow. They were selling you, saying, okay, we're going to lose money and then later on we'll make money. Today, right before this crisis, what were they selling you? They're selling you, yeah, we're going to get someone to fund us. So they're selling you funding. It resembles a Ponzi, okay? Mm-hmm. Who cares about money? And they were using the third round and whatever mechanism they did to fund themselves as a cash machine. What, negative cash flow? What, you want to buy a printer? Okay, funding. What, we need to buy a new plant? Funding. So we had an environment where that notion of everything you can learn from the great investors or the wise people, such as Warren Buffett and others, anybody with gray hair would understand that your oxygen is cash flow. Okay, you can have negative cash flow, but you know that it must be compensated later on. And they don't know about it. So this is why you end up having tumors, such as Bitcoin. But something that you take for granted, real estate. Mm-hmm. Real estate is even worse. Think about it, 120, 30 billion, $1 trillion created during, in valuation. That's valuation. If that doesn't go down by half or three-quarters, there'll be something wrong in the way you understand finance. Because you cannot carry a house, if your income is $30,000 a year, you cannot carry a house. You could carry in the past a $500,000 house. Now you can't anymore. So you got to calibrate to that. Eventually, the real estate will adjust, unless you have inflation. And I don't think they have too much appetite to let inflation. Well, I've been a critic of Bitcoin for reasons you won't like. My principal reason is, guess what? It's not even good for money laundering. So
I'm taking notes. Continue.
Yeah, it is too traceable. You see, gold, you can remelt bars, you can do something, but Bitcoin is a book entry somewhere that anyone with basic knowledge of statistics can triangularize. So that's the first comment. The second one is that it was transformed into a cult. You cannot, the first time in history probably we're mixing money and cult. Usually you do cults with yoga, cults with something else, cult with music, but here is cult with a financial product. The things don't go together well, you see. So because finance has some gravity rules that eventually end up hurting that model. So crypto will probably, it's a fad. The claims they make that they're a refuge are false. That they're good for transaction is false. They're not even attracting the bad guys anymore. And you know that the Federal Reserve can very quickly replace these cryptos. So basically, it could put that crypto out of business. If you think that crypto is there for transaction, or that transaction story, that transaction narrative is no longer holding. When someone says this is generational, and you're talking about music, it's fine, all right? If somebody says this is generational, are you talking about what? Finance. It means that you're glorifying ignorance. Okay, you can't glorify ignorance with random events, with processes. Where to the contrary, you got to glorify experience. So that cult of the youth that we have today, of course, is getting busted in finance, and soon the kids will no longer be interested in crypto. They'll be interested in some vegetarian diets or something else. Okay. In the old days, the Swiss never took risk. They took your money and never gave you anything. So that was a great business model.
I've lived it. This is true.
So it was by design, and you invested money with it. You put your money there because you knew they were boring. Okay, by design. Then suddenly, I don't know what happened. Someone in Zurich said boring, but this is too boring. Okay, came in to the States and started dabbling with derivatives, buying derivatives firms, and saying we're going to do science. Okay, and that was on that day was when the Swiss ceased to be Swiss bankers. Okay, and then stage two, what accelerated it is that effectively under the Obama administration, they figured out that, you know what, it's this tiny country, banking secrecy, you can scrape it from Washington, you get out, and you can bully them into changing business model. Well, guess what? They did change business model because it's like they were successful in their model largely because of money laundering, a lot of people hiding, and Americans hiding funds there away from the tax authorities. So basically, that was a model of the Swiss that went away. Okay, so they had to take more of these complex bond risk and stuff like that. I mean, epilogue: Credit Suisse no longer. I did work for UBS and I did work for Credit Suisse First Boston at a time, and I never imagined, nobody would ever imagine that these firms were not going to be perpetual. So it tells you something about the structure of our world that when you invest in something, never assume that a AAA is a AAA.